We're good.
We're good? Okay. Good evening, everyone. It's good to see everyone, and those that I can't see, it's good to hear you guys. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This meeting is being held remotely as a meeting with a quorum of the public body physically present is not practical or prudent due to the state's declaration of a disaster due to the impacts of COVID-19. Confirm all participants can hear and reminder that all motions need to be passed by a roll call vote. We do have some guests on tonight. A couple of the youth commissioners. Welcome, Sophia, Owen, and I don't know who else is with us. Katie. And Connie with us? Or Audrey? Okay, why don't we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it
stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty for all.
Megan, will you call the roll?
Yes, Trustee Messick?
Here.
Trustee Sheehan?
Here.
Trustee Kucera?
Here.
Trustee Lautner?
Here.
Trustee Zora? Here. Trustee Seidel? Not yet. Absent. And President DeCipio?
Here.
A quorum is present, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. And again, I would like to welcome Sophia, Owen, Katie, Robbie. Next, we have public participation of agenda-related items only. Would anyone care to address the board? Okay, moving on, consent agenda. Megan?
Thank you, Mr. President. The items on this evening's consent agenda are as follows. A, approval of minutes. 1, Village Board meeting July 28th, 2020. 2, Village Board work session August 11th, 2020. And 3, executive session meeting August 11th, 2020. B, action, intergovernmental agreement for coronavirus relief funds, CRF, motion to approve a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental and subrecipient agreement for coronavirus relief funds between County of Cook, Illinois, and Village of LaGrange Park, subrecipient, Illinois. C, action, motion to authorize the President and Chairperson of the Finance Committee to sign the register for bills and authorize the Treasurer and Village Clerk to sign checks in payment of operating bills and salaries as itemized in the check registers. D, action, motion to authorize the Village Treasurer and Village Clerk to sign checks in the payment of payroll and other bills that become due between this date and the next Village Board meeting with subsequent approval of the payroll register and voucher register by the Board of Trustees at its next meeting.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
The motion and second. Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Kucera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora? Yes. The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. If it's okay with the board, I would like to move up the first item on under my title pertaining to the appointments to the Youth Commission. We have some very young residents that are with us tonight that probably don't want to be up too late with us. So if it's okay with the board, I'd like to move at least that part of my presentation up next. Okay. The Youth Commission is comprised of 10 members who serve a 2-year term. Currently, the Youth Commission has 5 vacancies to fill due to recent graduations. The village received an abundance of interest in the open positions. Upon review, 5 applicants stood out. Connie Egnos, Audrey Kapazian, Owen Myers, Sophia Marsick, and Katie Byer are interested in serving. Based on their community involvement and enthusiasm in serving on the Youth Commission, the village recommends that the following candidates be appointed to serve on the commission for the terms detailed in the motions. Katie Byer, who's in 8th grade at Park Junior High, appointed to the term to September 1st, 2021. Connie Anagnos, 9th grader at LT, September 1st, 2022. Audrey Topazian, 10th grade, LT, September 1st, 2022. Owen Myers, 7th grade, Science and Arts Academy, September 1st, 2022. And Sophia Marzik, 10th grader at LT, September 1st, 2020. Staff recommends the board affirm the recommendations to appoint the aforementioned individuals to the Youth Commission. Trustee Messick, would you care to make a motion?
Certainly, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Ms. Katie Byer to the Village of LaGrange Park Youth Commission to fill a term expiring on September 1st, 2021, and to appoint Ms. Connie Anagnos, Ms. Audrey Topazian, Mr. Owen Myers, and Ms. Sophia Marsick to the Village of LaGrange Park Youth Commission for terms to expire on September 1st, 2022. Second.
Jim, you have to unmute.
So sorry, guys. If any of the youth commissioners that are up for election, if they'd care to say anything, Sophie, anything? Welcome.
Hi. I'm just really excited for this. Looking forward to
We're
it.
excited to have you, Sophie.
Thank you.
And how about Owen?
I'm thankful for the opportunity to do this.
Thank you, Owen. There's Katie. Hey, Katie.
Hi, thank you so much for letting me do this and giving me the opportunity to be here tonight.
Thank you for letting you do this. Thank you for putting your name forward. Audrey? Audrey's not with us. I think I have them all then, correct?
Connie?
Emily, would you care to make any comments?
I'd just like to say that I'm very excited to welcome our 5 new commissioners. This is the first time since I've been with the village that we've had such a large group of new commissioners. They are very well qualified to join us, and I look forward to hearing all of the input and ideas that they have to share.
Any trustees have any comments?
Thank
Welcome.
you, Mr.
Trustee Ledger?
Excited to have this group of young individuals that are excited about becoming part of this process, and I think it's very important for looking forward for them as well as the village.
Thank you, Trustee Ledger. Trustee Zora?
And I just wanted to say welcome.
Trustee Messick?
Oh, yes, I say welcome, and also I am excited to see young people wanting to be involved in the process. This is important, and this is how we move forward. And you're going to be involved more like we are now. Down the road, you are people like you. So thank you for putting out the time.
Thank you, Trustee Messick. Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to say welcome and appreciate them coming forward in this very important process.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Trustee Casera?
Thank you, Mr. President. Very excited, and I'd like to say welcome to all of them. In addition to being part of our process, I know all of these young ladies and gentlemen are very involved in other organizations, and it's great to see people involved in our communities.
Thank you, Trustee Casera. Is Trustee Seidel on yet?
I'm on.
Trustee
Sorry
Seidel.
about that, Mr.
That's
President. I just want to say the same. Welcome and excited to have you all aboard.
Thank you, Trustee Seidel. So again, welcome, you guys. I'm excited that you're here. We're here for you. If you need anything, please reach out to any one of the trustees, myself, Julia, Emily, anybody. We're here for you guys. So thank you for stepping up and serving. Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Launer?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Seidel?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan, and congratulations, you guys. Looking forward to working with you. Okay, moving on. Village Manager, Julia.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I have 3 items to report on this evening, none of which are included in your board packets for this meeting this evening. The first item I want to report on is the status of the integration of Countryside Police Department into Ltac, which is the Lyons Township Area Communications Center. That's our dispatch center. So yesterday the cutover was completed, and there were just a couple of minor issues that were quickly addressed, and all is well over in Countryside with the addition of the police department to our dispatch center. So we want to welcome Countryside PD and wish Ltac and Countryside congratulations on their end. Secondly, tomorrow evening there is a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. The meeting will include a public hearing to consider zoning variations and a special use permit for 1117 East 31st Street, commonly known as Murphy's Auto Repair. That meeting will also include a site plan review for T-Mobile equipment at 937 Barnesdale, which is our public works facility. The third thing that I would like to update the board on is an idea for a sidewalk. This is just very preliminary, but I wanted to share an idea that staff had for a sidewalk for the span of Plaza 31. This is a commercial area in the village commonly known as the 7-Eleven strip mall. So many of you are aware that, some background here, many of you are aware that recently Director Ratty and I walked the span of the 31st Street water main project to look at different elements of our infrastructure, the sidewalks, the curbs and gutters, for restoration. So we walked the entire span, and most of the time what we were looking for is particular decisions that had to be made with regard to sidewalk replacement, curb replacement, where items needed to be replaced as part of the restoration as the cutover to the new water main is complete. One of the areas that was a challenge for us that we looked at, and Rick is here, hi Rick, Director Ratty, he was with me and he can chime in, he'll chime in at the end. One of the areas that was a little bit challenging was this span of sidewalk for the strip mall. So what this sidewalk looks like, if you can recall, is your standard sidewalk for the whole span of the commercial property, and then alongside the concrete sidewalk is there are brick pavers. So when we walked the site, we looked at this particular area, and for the entire span, a little less than 50% of this span has been removed. So it's no longer existing. So what we are looking at there is restoring that back to pre-existing conditions, or what was in place before, which is the sidewalk and then the pavers. So one of the challenges we had was deciding, do we put the pavers in along with a new sidewalk for the span? Do we include the concrete base underneath the sidewalk squares? So in discussing the different options that we were looking at there and the extent of the sidewalk that would be removed and needs to be replaced, one of the design elements that we considered that I wanted to throw out there for some feedback this evening is consideration, potentially, this is very early, of a stamped sidewalk for the span of this property. So when we did the new parking spaces on North Beach, we purchased a stamped mold to be able to do that project. And it's a herringbone design, and we recently completed that red concrete color stamp design. I can show you a little bit what it looks like. I can show those folks that are on the call here and are participating by video remotely the photo. For the callers that are calling in, unfortunately, you won't see this photo, but I'm going to share the screen for just a moment. So hopefully you can all see that. So this is a photo of the herringbone design for our new parking spaces. Can everyone see that for those of you participating remotely? So you recognize that? Okay. So the area that we have to consider is this particular area. So this is the 7-Eleven or strip mall, or it's called Plaza 31. So a little less than 50% of the sidewalk has been removed and needs to be restored. It's not all sidewalk. There's quite a bit of brick pavers in there that would have to also be restored, and then we would have to make decisions on the concrete base that's underneath. So that hopefully provides some context. So one of the ideas that we had was, because we have this, open ticket, we have an IDOT permit for this water work, and the restoration is going on and will soon occur. We thought if now would be a good time to maybe consider an additional design element here and continue the removal of the sidewalk here, and then add the herringbone design for the entire span here from the corner sidewalk to corner. So what that would include is, while some of the restoration work here is included in the entire water main project for 31st Street, it would have an additional cost to be able to consider this type of upgrade, which if this was an idea that the board had interest in, we would utilize TIF funds for that. That's an eligible TIF fund cost. Again, this is very preliminary. Restoration will start soon. So I'm going to turn off the sharing of the screen. So the differential cost for the span of the sidewalk for this herringbone design, it would eliminate the sidewalk and eliminate the pavers that are currently there and replace it in its entirety with a herringbone stamped concrete, red concrete design. So it would be much greater than the width of a sidewalk. I'm not sure about the exact width of this, probably somewhere around 5, maybe 7 feet wide for the entire span. The differential cost is $35,000. So to do that, it would have to come out of TIF. But if this is not something that the board is interested in, we could restore it back to its original condition with the pavers that we have along with the concrete sidewalk. What sets this restoration apart from the other restoration efforts that we're doing is that typically we are restoring portions of a roadway or small portions of a sidewalk or a corner sidewalk. And when we touch these corner sidewalks, especially where the ADA requirements come into place, these upgrades have to be done to come into compliance with the law and the requirements for these types of pedestrian connections in accordance with accessibility standards and ADA standards. So most of the restoration changes that we are making are very minor, and there's not a significant sidewalk span that's impacted. This particular area is different. It's a significant span. It deals with both concrete and paver brick, and there are decisions that would have to be made on the concrete base in order to stabilize the resetting of the pavers with the existing pavers. So that was an idea we wanted to bring before the board. We're not sure about the timing with which this would get done, but we thought with the open ticket, with the IDOT work happening, now would be a good time. Certainly this is a great opportunity to improve the look of the area while we're doing infrastructure. And So about $5,000 of this work would come out of the project cost, because that's what we would have paid to restore this area, and $35,000, which is the differential cost, would come out of TIP. If you have any feedback, that's kind of what we're looking for. I also, Mr. President, if you wouldn't mind, I told Rick, listen, Rick, if I forgot to mention anything, can you please chime in and let me know, or make any comments that on this issue that I may have forgotten. So, Rick, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, just, I have a different picture here, Google Earth photo I would like to share, I don't know if it would show a little bit different, Julia. Let me see if I can do this. Can you guys see that all right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, as Julie was saying, we have the sidewalk that's running down 31st Street, and then you got about a 2-foot ribbon of the brick work that was done roughly about 20 years ago. And you also have all the cobblestone bricks that are used for the ramps for the sidewalk connections. And those can no longer be utilized. Once we touch them, we have to put them to ADA standards, so that's all going to have to be put back with regular concrete and the ADA plates. One of the things of why we're bringing this to your attention now as well is, again, because this is a thought that just occurred last Thursday, actually, we needed to get special pricing from the contractor and bring this to the board as a change order. So because of that, that's why we're sort of giving you guys a heads up now that if there's any discussion, we can discuss it and potentially be bringing this to your attention in the next 2 weeks if we decide to move forward with it. But again, we did get the pricing just
Today.
late this afternoon. We did some quick calculations. We're waiting for the final numbers from A-Lamp, but this is what they sent us as their preliminary, and I think they're going to be pretty good numbers. So other than that, Mark, would you have anything to add, you think?
No, you covered it pretty well. It's about, did you want to mention the barrier curb as well at the back of Walk that is under consideration? No? Okay. Yeah, I think it's about 250 feet of sidewalk, and now is a good time to make that decision if that's what the village wants to do.
Thank you, Mark. Julie, go ahead.
Mr. President, one thing I wanted to mention is that the reason why Mark asked about the barrier is because Robert Bigelow, who is he represents the owners of the property, is working with the property owners to redo the parking lot. So the whole parking lot area for this property is going to be reconstructed in the coming months. I think ideally they wanted to do it sooner, but given the changes that they're looking at, it might hang over into the spring. And one of the things that we have been talking about is this barrier curbing that might be ideal to separate the new stamped concrete walkway from any reconstruction of the parking area. So ideally, that would be something that would come to play. If we were to add a barrier curb between, it would be another $11,000 or so. I think that this is something that the property owner wishes to do when they want to improve their parking lot. So we would just have to work with the engineers to make sure that the projects get distanced and separated through the changes that occur over the next couple of months, if we were to move forward. Again, this is a very preliminary idea. The tickets open on this work out on 31st Street, and we have a little bit of a challenge in terms of restoration for the entire span. So that's the only comment I would make, Mr. President.
Thank you, Julie. Are you looking for some feedback from the board at this time?
Any preliminary feedback or questions?
Sure. Okay, Trustee Laudner?
Thank you, Mr. President. The first question that comes to my mind is the comparison of
plastic environment of, you know, snow removal, salt, whatever, how does the durability compare?
There's one challenge that, you know, is gonna be on us, every few years, and that's just to make sure that we keep a good sealer applied. If we keep a good sealer applied to it, just like we have to do to the parking stalls along Beach, it's no different. You know, that's just something that we'll have to put into our maintenance realm every 2 years. Pressure wash it, seal it in the spring or summer or fall, so it has time to cure before winter. But as long as we use a good sealer, it should have some long durability. I've seen it in other state right-of-ways, and, you know, you're going to have some stalling effect, but the good thing with stamped concrete is that color is embedded through the whole entire slab. It's not just on the surface. So, you know, if a piece were to stall because of a salt residue or drawing the moisture out of the concrete, it's going to have a different shape, but it's not going to be like a whiteness like you would normal concrete would. So, again, minor maintenance that we would have to do. It's nothing, you know, other than we have to do on Beach, so we can coincide those together, use the same product. I think it would withstand. If you look at the cobblestones on some of those pictures over 15 years, they're all settling. You know, at some point in time when we walk the whole entire project, we would have to get in there anyways, because a lot of those are getting bad in other areas. So to me, it's just like any normal maintenance. Over time, you're going to have some wear and tear.
The next question I had is, since TIF funds would be eligible, does that mean no budget impact outside of the budget?
Well, it would impact TIF funds. The TIF funds are really there to make public improvements in order to improve the overall look and value of the property in those particular areas. I talked to Larry, and I think we have about $500,000 currently in that particular TIF. That's the balance that we have. We do need to pay about $50,000 or $48,000 eventually, you know, as the work gets completed and finished for the parking spaces. And but there's still plenty of money available in the TIF. The TIF is performing well. And that is why we're raising those funds, to be able to make improvements that improve the overall look and appearance of our commercial areas and those properties that fall within those parameters, that particular outline. The other thing I will say is that the pavers that we do have out on 31st Street, they do require quite a bit of maintenance, both in terms of, you know, the weed whacker and the chemicals that it takes to spray on a regular basis just to keep those weeds down. So there is quite a bit of growth out there, and so the pavers have their own challenge in terms of maintenance as well.
Sure, but to make sure I'm clear, there's no budget impact outside of the TIF budget.
No, sir. They're just within the TIF fund. We would make sure that any additional costs outside of the project, the water project, what we plan for restoration, anything beyond that goes into the TIF fund. It would not impact the general fund, water fund, or any other fund, just the fund for which these improvements were intended.
I like how it ties into the new parking spaces and a good use of the stamps. So it sounds looked very attractive and sounds pretty exciting, actually. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Lauder. Trustee Zora?
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it's a great idea, and pavers have a lot of maintenance. When we walked the district, I mean, all the pavers needed a lot of help. And I guess my one question is, were there pavers put there because there's utilities underneath there that it'd be easier to get to, or what was the purpose of the pavers when they were originally put in?
That was just a design that was picked, 20 years ago when we did the 31st Street revitalization back then. Actually, underneath that ribbon of brick pavers is actually a concrete base, so you don't have as much settling as if you did it with just regular sand and gravel. it held up a little bit better in the long term, but again, I mean, there are utilities underneath there, but that wasn't the reason why. It was just the design that they picked back then.
Okay. I mean, I'm in favor for it. I think it'll look great and it'll clean it up. And I had another question with the curb barrier. So Julia, were you saying the village would pay that $11,000 or the owner would pay the $11,000 for that curb barrier?
Well, let's see, the curb barriers would go onto private it would be ideal, right, for the separation of the properties. But I believe the curb barriers would fall, and I'm trying to remember that moment, Rick, that we're standing out there on that property, but I believe that the curb barriers fall on private property.
Okay.
So ideally, that would be the responsibility of the property owner, as it would not be a public property.
Okay. Okay, I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. Trustee Messick?
I too support it. One question I have is I know you can't give it with certain definitive answer, but is there an estimation on the life of these pavers before it's going to need serious repair or replacement?
For the existing pavers or for the stamped concrete? I'm sorry, Trustee.
The new ones. For the new ones.
I mean, the stamped concrete, I mean, it has the longevity and the strength as normal curing concrete, right? All it has is a stamp and a color to it. So, concrete can last a long time. I mean, the stuff that's on there is 20 years old and some of it looks pretty good condition. So I think as long as we maintain it and we seal it like we need to every few years, I think it can potentially last 25, 30 years.
Perfect. Well, I said I support this. This is exactly one of the reasons why we set up TIF districts. It's a good use of the funds. It does beautify and revitalize more of that area, and it's along the lines of what we've been trying to accomplish. So I support it.
Thank you, Trustee Messick. Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would support it too. Those pavers have served their purpose. The Trust family has poured a lot of money into making that strip mall look as good as it does now. And my only concern would be, go ahead and spend the TIF money, and then somehow during reconstruction of that parking lot, the cement gets damaged. But let's hope not.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Trustee Casera?
Thank you, Mr. President. I also completely agree with this, and all of my questions have been answered by other trustees' questions. So thank you very much. I'm very excited about it.
Thank you, Trustee Casera. Trustee Sidell?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm in support of this as well. I think it's great for improvement to the property, and it's not affecting the general fund. So I am in support of this as well, and all my questions have been answered. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sidell. So there you go, Julia. We got our marching orders.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Mr. President, one last thing I would say is staff also shares the concerns of Trustee Sheehan, and that particular concern is one of the discussion points that we're going to be having in the coming days. So that's definitely important to us, and just as important as timeline and completion. So I just wanted to make sure that folks knew that that was very high on our priority list in terms of feasibility for getting this done. But with that, Mr. President, thank you. Thank you, members of the board, and that completes my report.
Thank you, Julia. Okay, moving on to the committee, Trustee Sidell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a few items to report tonight. Village Hall modified hours. The Village Hall continues to operate with modified hours in order to accommodate additional cleaning and sanitizing recommendations related to COVID-19. Village offices are open to the public Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Residents are encouraged to utilize online services as much as possible. If you decide to visit Village Hall, a face covering is required and social distance must be maintained. Village payments. A new payment drop box has been installed outside Village Hall near the blue U.S. Post Office mailbox. Any payment may be placed inside the drop box. Residents are encouraged to use the drop box or online payment options rather than enter Village Hall during the coronavirus pandemic. 2020 census. The United States Census Bureau has moved the 2020 census data collection deadline to September 30th, 2020 from October 31st, 2020. As a result, census field workers are currently in our community knocking on doors of those who have not yet responded to the 2020 census. Workers will be knocking on doors from dawn until dusk in attempts to collect responses from the 22% of LaGrange Park residents who have not yet responded. For information on how to identify a census worker, visit www.2020census.gov. The online census questionnaire will remain open until September 30th. If you have not yet completed the census, you can complete the census online at www.2020census.gov. Community e-briefs. The village would like to encourage residents to stay connected with what is happening in LaGrange Park by signing up for community e-briefs, our weekly electronic newsletter that is emailed out each Friday. The village currently has over 2,100 subscribers. Residents may sign up for e-briefs by going to the homepage of the village's website at www.lagrangepark.org. And that concludes the administration report, and I have no action items for this evening.
Thank you, Trustee Seidel. Building and Zoning Committee, Trustee Zora.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to report the building department activities for July 2020. 130 building permits were issued in July compared to 87 last July. There have been more than 521 permits issued so far this year compared to 468 last year. Estimating construction costs for the month were $1,948,078, which is more than double the same period as last year. Permit fees collected for the month were nearly $47,000, also slightly more than double as compared to the fee last year, or the period last year. 116 inspections were conducted this July as compared to 133 last July. 2 were not approved. 650 inspections have been conducted, slightly less than the 675 that had been conducted last year. Staff conducted and approved an occupancy inspection for Gemini Hair Design located at 1901 East 31st Street. Insulation inspection was conducted and approved at Enos. Staff issued a demolition permit for the home and garage at 302 North Catherine. A home at Brewster in Kensington was demolished. A neighbor purchased the home to expand the size of their property and may later modify their garage and our driveway. A temporary certificate of occupancy was issued for a new home in the 500 block of Spring. And although additional money was directed to the sewer backup prevention program, the village continues to receive applications for such, and the request for reimbursement again exceeds the anticipated available funding at this time. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. Engineering Capital Projects Committee, Trustee Messick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Engineering Capital Project Summary for July of 2020. Construction on the 31st Street Water Main Project has continued. Contractor, a lamp concrete contractor, has finished installing all of the 8-inch and 12-inch diameter water main, along with 31st Street and the side streets. The new water main was pressure tested and chlorinated. At the end of July, the water services west of Sherwood Road had been reconnected to the new water main. The remaining water services between Sherwood Road and Barnsdale Road will be reconnected in August. After the underground work has been completed, restoration will begin to replace the curbs, sidewalks, driveways, and pavement. Work is expected to continue through the summer and be completed in the fall. Second item, design engineering was started for the Meadowcrest Road and Garfield Avenue resurfacing project. The limits of the project are Meadowcrest Road between 31st Street and Jackson Avenue and Garfield Road between LaGrange Road and Community Drive. The scope of the work includes the replacement of defective curb and gutter driveways and sidewalks. The street will then be milled and resurfaced. The project will be completed by the end of the construction season. And item last, design work for the LaGrange Road Water Main Phase 2 continues. This part of the project encompasses installing water main on LaGrange Road from Garfield Avenue north and east to a connection at 31st Street, and then north and west to the alley to another connection on LaGrange Road. The project is scheduled to be built in 2021. And that concludes the engineering and capital project reports, and I have no action items.
Thank you, Trustee Messick. Director Raddy, I meant to ask you last meeting if you had any comments about the 31st Street project. Any comments about how things went, and were you happy with the results so far?
Last meeting I was a little excited and, to give an update that we were just finished the day of the meeting. I'm very pleased with the outcome of ALAMP. I think, they did a very good job. It's like any contractor, you got some things you got to just stay on them for, but ultimately I think they went pretty smooth. I didn't miss one day of work. They worked hard. They worked well with our engineering staff and the RE out on the project. They worked well with staff as well. So I'm pretty impressed. The project's done. We just got restoration to do. So it's one of my pet peeve projects that I've been on for a long period of time. It goes back to my second or third day starting as a full-timer. I was out on 31st and Robin Hood. So it's glad to see that it finally got done. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Raddy. Okay, moving on, Public Safety, Trustee Lautner.
Thank you, Mr. President. From the public safety area this evening, I have two reports and one item for discussion and action. First, the police report for July. Total number of crimes this year are slightly higher than last year at this time, with 193 reported this year compared to 184 last year. Traffic enforcement is at 1,386 total tickets issued through July of 2020. Our overall police activity is slightly lower to last year, with 4,374 total incidents reported through July of 2020, compared to 5,070 total incidents through July of 2019. With the transition into the Restore Illinois Phase 4 plan, a multitude of officers were able to attend a variety of training classes throughout the month. And a big congratulations to Officer Frank Slavinek, who was ranked 35th in the state of Illinois for DUI enforcement arrest. The Grange Park Police Department as a whole ranked 94th out of 435 municipalities within the state of Illinois for DUI enforcement arrest. That information was attained through the Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists. So great job, Officer Frank Slavinek. And as always, a friendly reminder about securing one's personal property at all times. Please lock your vehicles and residences, especially during overnight hours. If you are going on vacation, please utilize the new online vacation watch portal, frontlinepss.com/LaGrange Park, or log on to the village website and access the portal under the police department page. If you do not have internet access, feel free to fill out a vacation watch card at the police department between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. That concludes the police report. And for the month of July, for the fire report, EMS incidents this month totaled 166. There have been 928 year-to-date compared to 859 year-to-date in 2019. Fire rescue incidents this month totaled 51, and there have been 286 year-to-date compared to 340 year-to-date in 2019. A final fire sprinkler inspection was conducted for the new home at 538 North Spring. The final fire alarm acceptance test for the new dental office at 1018 East 31st Street was also conducted on Friday morning. Personnel participated on-site annual medical evaluations during the month. A new full-time contract paramedic firefighter, Adam Mobley, began employment. Had 3 personnel, Lieutenant Steve Story and paramedic firefighters Ben Carbonero and Vanessa Curas, attended training to become CPR and AED instructors. During the month, a paid-on-call firefighter, EMT, became ill with COVID-19. He immediately began quarantine, and some minor modifications were made to group training and operations. He has since recovered and is back to work. Also, due to COVID-19, one of our paid-on-call fire lieutenants began a leave of absence as his full-time employer put a prohibition on secondary employment due to the pandemic. And a few activities of note during the month of July. On the 1st of the month, we responded to a report of an 11-year-old female trapped in Salt Creek in Brezina Woods. Upon arrival, they found the child along with 2 adult males who had attempted a rescue in the middle of the creek, holding onto a partially submerged log. They were trapped by the current, and the water at the time in this immediate area appeared to be over 6 feet deep. The duty officer initially threw a water rescue rope to them for safety. Another firefighter arrived and wearing a personal flotation device and tethered with a second water rescue rope swam out to them. 3 separate trips were made, bringing each of them back to shore against the current with help from the duty officer and bystanders. It was quite an event that saved 3 lives. On the 6th of July, response to the 900 block of Newberry for a fire involving a transformer, power lines, and utility pole. Firefighters put water on a fence and garage in the same area to keep it controlled. At the same time, the power line came down across 31st Street at Brainerd Avenue. On the 11th, an engine and chief assisted Grange with a house fire in the 500 block of South Ashland. On the 13th, the ladder truck responded to a fire in Stickney for a fire at a chemical company. And on the 14th, an engine and chief assisted Brookfield with a fire in a 2-foot in the 4300 block of Dale. That concludes the 2 reports, and I have 1 item for discussion and action. Just about there. And it's regarding the potential approval for the purchase of a new 2021 Ford Utility Police Interceptor all-wheel drive with accessories. The background on this is the fiscal year 20 and 21 budget includes finances allocated for the purchase of a new 2021 patrol vehicle. With the addition of this new vehicle to the fleet, a 2009 Ford Escape with over 180,000 miles will be phased out. In planning for and pursuing replacement, police department staff evaluated current needs and investigated which vehicles were available for purchase through the state and joint purchasing programs. Staff has determined that our best option is to purchase a 2021 Ford Interceptor utility with all-wheel drive available through the Suburban Purchasing Cooperative, which the police department has utilized in the past to purchase some of our vehicles. This vehicle will be all-wheel drive, which will better accommodate emergency responses in inclement weather. The purchase of this vehicle will also replicate the purchase of the 2020 Ford Utility Police Interceptor purchased last fiscal year. There will be some ancillary costs associated with the purchase of the Ford Interceptor utility, such as the installation of radios, emergency lighting, and lettering, which brings the total price to approximately $41,000. The village has budgeted $41,000 into capital funds 07-40-4-442. At this time, staff plans to sell the unit we are taking out of service. With the current status of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Ford Motor Company plant is only running 2 shifts, having to maintain social distancing. If we order now, the delivery date is March or April of 2021. Staff's recommendation is after evaluation and consideration, they recommend entering into an agreement with Kerry Motors, a fleet of Frankfort, Illinois, for the purchase of 2021 Ford Interceptor utility in the amount of $33,039 with a not need amount of $41,000 to cover the equipment and upkeep costs. Our packets included the supplemental information that described the options that were needed. So I'd like to make a motion authorizing staff to purchase the new 2021 Ford Interceptor Police Patrol package for a cost of $39,039 from Fury Motors Fleet in Frankfort, Illinois. Suburban Purchasing Cooperative Contract number 152 with a not to exceed amount of $41,000 cover the equipment and upfitting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. There we go. Thank you, Julia. have a motion and a second. Discussion, Trustee Wagner?
Thank you, Mr. President. I feel very comfortable in supporting moving forward with this, especially in light of last month's financial review, given our position and the fact that it was budgeted in this amount. I think it's part of the longer-term plan of replacing the vehicles at the appropriate time, and as such, I would support this.
Okay, Trustee Zora?
I agree with Trustee Lautner. I think this is a good time to do it. We have the funds, and it was budgeted, so I think we should move forward.
Trustee Messick?
I concur. I fully support this. It's in budget, and police need good equipment.
Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. I do support this. I hope the vehicle is delivered before budget year 2021-2022.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Trustee Casera?
I concur with my fellow trustees, Mr. President.
Trustee Seidel?
I concur as well. I'm in full support. It's in the budget, so I don't see any reason why not to move forward.
Thank you, Trustee Seidel. Megan, call the roll, please.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Seidel?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you,
Okay.
Trustee Wagner.
That concludes my reports and action item for this evening from the public safety area, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Wagner. Moving on to Public Works, Trustee Messick? Or Trustee Sheehan, I'm sorry. Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. The Village Brush Program continued the first full week of July with crews making multiple passes throughout town, collecting all brush piles left out by our residents. Hydrant flushing has continued on the west side of town and will continue next month due to conflicts of other priority jobs. Various street repairs were made to pavements and permanent patching will continue throughout the summer. Various water and sewer work orders were completed, along with resident tree concerns and general construction inquiries. DPW completed a sewer repair at Park and Harding, reconnecting 2 catch basin lateral lines and replacing about 7 feet of sewer main. 2 water service lines were replaced on the 1500 block of Alima due to a water main break. The existing lines were lead and they were replaced with 1-inch copper. Public Works repaired 3 water main breaks in July, ranging in size from 6 to 8-inch pipe. Water meters were read in Section 1, and 15 monthly bacterial samples were taken, along with UTMR4 and Stage 2 samples. Staff continued to remove trees that are dead or diseased and will continue throughout the following months. The retaining wall surrounding the Village Hall flagpole was replaced with new bricks. DPW replaced the backfill with new dirt and planted summer flowers. Numerous water and service calls were completed along with meter appointments and Julie locates. Routine maintenance of the department fleet and equipment were performed as well on police and fire vehicles as needed. Next, Mr. President, they have the GIS agreement. Purpose is to enter into agreement with Gis Consortium to provide geographical information systems and municipal GIS partners, Inc. as the service provider. Geographical information systems link databases to digital maps and a map that makes data used by all village departments and the public more accessible. The benefit of GIS is to store and retrieve data more efficiently. GIS typically includes data associated with land parcels such as PINs, addresses, dimensions, land use, zoning, structure footprint, property photos, and utilities. GIS puts data to create visual representations of infrastructure, community assets, and service needs. It also offers a way to view and analyze dynamic maps to enhance daily operations, improve decision-making, and effectively respond to customer requests. The GIS Consortium is an organization of Chicago area communities unified by a common goal to share resources, information, staffing, and technology so that municipalities can optimize the value of geographic information systems. Director Ratty has worked with the consortium in the past and found them to be qualified and quite professional. The village will benefit from being able to do work with the mature GIS architecture form implementation and from the experiences of other member communities as to what works and what did not. Additionally, all materials developed and applied to other communities are available to LaGrange Park at no additional expense. For example, if another town developed a report to analyze crime statistics using GIS, that report will be available to be applied immediately to LaGrange Park. The GIS Consortium is a proven solution for communities who are increasingly being challenged to do more with less. Its collaborative effort reduces costs while improving public services. The GIS Consortium was founded in 1998 with 4 original members consisting of Highland Park, Glencoe, Lincolnshire, and Park Ridge. The village of LaGrange Park will be the 38th member of the consortium. Communities surrounding ours that utilize the service of the consortium include LaGrange, Riverside, Brookfield, River Forest, Oak Park, and Oak Brook, just to name a few. Under the agreement, Municipal GIS Partners, Inc. is hired by the consortium to be the service provider. LaGrange Park will have a staff member of MGP working on site at Public Works 1 day a week. MGP is currently working with Ltac to update existing GIS files to come into compliance with Next Gen 911. An amount of $50,000 is in the budget fiscal year 2020-2021 for GIS. Comes out of water distribution, $20,000, sewer O&M, $20,000, MFT, $5,000, public works, $5,000. There was a one-time $4,000 initiation fee to join the consortium based on our community size. For the remainder of the calendar year, the cost is $16,756. Total cost per year after the initial will be approximately $45,000 to $50,000, raising each subsequent year incrementally. That show that's highlighted on page 5 of the discussion paper that was so nicely put together. The individual agreement coincide with the calendar year reporting budget. The village is responsible for payment of the remaining 1/3 of the calendar year. Membership within GISC requires communities to re-enter into agreements with the service provider as they are on a calendar year cycle. Staff recommends entering into the agreement with GIS Consortium and MGP as the service provider. This is for discussion and action. Therefore, Mr. President, make a motion to approve membership agreement for Geographic Information System Consortium and GIS Consortium Service Provider contract with Municipal GIS Partners, Inc., and authorize the village president to execute all required documents.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. This pushes LaGrange Park further into the 21st century. At first, I was a little scared off of the cost per year of $50,000, but I think in theory it should decrease staff time and increase production, and it should help pretty much every department head that we have. So I would fully support this.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Director Ratty, did you have any comments you wanted to make at this time?
Just that I'm excited, and I think this is, again, this is something that's been long overdue. Working previously with GIS in the past, seeing the benefits that it has, it's just an amazing tool, not only for public works, but for building department, for fire, for zoning. but what its capabilities are unlimited. And MGP, the service providers, they're just great people. They know their stuff, and I love the fact that being a part of the consortium, you're collaborating your efforts with all of the other 38 member communities. So, again, if there's one thing that somebody else invented or came up with that MGP was able to create, it becomes available to everybody to use, and it's at no cost because we're collaborating our efforts together. I'm looking forward to it. They're willing to get going. We just got word the other day that we officially got approved to be in the consortium, so up and up, looking good, and looking forward to it. Excited.
Thank you, Director Reddy. Trustee Casera.
I concur with Trustee Sheehan and Director Ratty. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Casera. Trustee Sidewalk.
I'm in full support as well. I think there's a lot of benefits to this, and I think it will benefit all the departments. So I am in full support.
Thank you, Trustee Sidewalk. Trustee Lautner.
I support this. I think it's certainly very leading edge, and the fact that it's got the leverage of 38 other members, or I guess a total of 38 members. I think it's a good direction for us to take.
Thank you, Trustee Lautner. Trustee Zora.
I agree. I also support this.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. Trustee Messick.
I'm in full support as well. I think everything's pretty well been said.
I had the privilege of sitting in on one of the original meetings, and the amount of work Director Ratty, you and the staff have done to get to this point is remarkable, so thank you. Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Seidel?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Okay, moving on. Finance Committee, Trustee Messick.
Thank you, Mr. President. The financial update as of July 31st, 2020. The fiscal year-to-date general fund revenue is at 21.3% of the annual budget and about $497,000, or 21% lower than the prior year. Primary reasons for the decrease are the drop in income tax receipts and the postponement of vehicle sticker sales due to the coronavirus crisis. Property tax receipts are down $79,435, or 10.3% compared to the prior year. Cook County has postponed late fees through October 1st due to the coronavirus. Therefore, receipts will likely be comparatively lower until the fall. Other local taxes are lower by about $31,000, or 8.7%, due primarily to the timing of cable franchise fees, but sales tax is up 17.7% compared to the prior year, while telecommunication taxes are down 7.9%. License revenue is down nearly 97% because vehicle and dog license sales have been postponed due to the coronavirus. Permit receipts are up 21.3%, or over $16,000 compared to the prior year. And governmental receipts are down about $116,000, or 19% compared to last year due to 26.6% decline in income tax as a result of the coronavirus. Charges for services are up about $3,300, or 3.5%, due to increased ambulance fee collections compared to last year. And fine revenue is approximately $8,000, or 19% higher than the prior year. Fines were increased in October of 2019. Miscellaneous revenue is about $63,000, or 36.7% lower than last year. Primary reason for the difference is reimbursement from the NetWest radio system. As a member of Ltac, the village is now using the Starcom radio system, and the NetWest costs and reimbursement have ended. Interest revenue has also declined significantly due to the coronavirus. And that concludes the finance report, and I have no action items.
Thank you, Trustee Messick. Okay, moving on to other reports. The village clerk, Megan.
I have no report tonight, Mr. President.
Our village treasurer, Larry.
No report tonight, Mr. President.
Our village engineer, Mark.
No report, Mr. President.
Our village attorney, Ms. Keating.
No report, Mr. President.
And Commercial Revitalization Committee, Trustee Zora.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 3 items to discuss, or just to report. On Friday, August 7th, the Village and the Grange Park Chamber of Commerce held a ribbon cutting for Rossetti's Pizza located at 720 East 31st Street and Plaza 31. Strive for Fitness opened this month at Plaza 31 at 31st Street, located next to the 7-Eleven at 712 East 31st Street. Strive for Fitness offers small group fitness classes, individual personal training sessions, annual special events such as Ultimate Boot Camp, class marathons, 5K and 10Ks. Check out Strive for Fitness online at www.striveforfitness.us or stop by and visit the newest location in the Grange Park. Murphy's Transmission and Complete Auto Repair has applied for zoning approvals to build 2 additions onto their existing structure and complete associated parking lot and landscaping improvements. The applications will be considered by the Planning and Zoning Commission tomorrow, Wednesday, August 26th. For more information regarding the zoning applications, visit the village website at www.grangepark.org. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. Motion to approve the committee and collectors reports as presented.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Seidel?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. I have one other item under my report, and that's the proclamation recognizing September as National Suicide Prevention and Action Month. Whereas September is known globally as Suicide Prevention Month, the National Suicide Prevention and Action Month proclamation was created to raise the visibility of the mental health resources and suicide prevention services available in our community. The goal is to speak openly about the importance of mental health and the impacts of suicide to help remove the surrounding stigmas and to direct those in need to the appropriate support services. Whereas suicidal thoughts can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, race, education, income level, religion, or background. And according to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, suicide is the 10th leading cause of death among adults. And the second leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 10 and 34. Whereas according to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, in 2017 alone, more than 47,000 people died by suicide. Whereas each and every suicide directly impacts a minimum of 100 people, including family, friends, co-workers, neighbors, and community members. Whereas the Village of Grange Park is publicly choosing to help remove the stigma and place our full support behind local educators, mental health professionals, medical coaches, law enforcement officers, and parents as partners in supporting our community and simply being available to one another. Whereas global organizations like Hope for the Day and our local partner are in the front lines of the war that may still refuse to discuss as suicide and mental health remain too uncomfortable to talk about. Therefore, be it proclaimed of Grange Park, the month of September 2020 as National Suicide Prevention and Action Month in the Village of Grange Park. And I encourage all residents to take the time to check in with their family, friends, and neighbors, and to honestly communicate their appreciation for their existence by any gesture you seem appropriate. Now more than ever, at a time where some may feel especially isolated due to the COVID-19 crisis, reaching out and truly being present for someone struggling can go a long way towards helping them realize that suicide is not the answer. Next up, public participation of non-agenda related items. Would anyone care to address the board? Any new business? Okay, before we close, I'd like to again thank Sophie and Audrey for being on. Robbie, motion to adjourn. Julia?
So moved.
I'm just
Just waving? Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It has to be,
Mr. President, do we need to do a roll call?
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Do we need to do a roll call?
Yes.
Yes. Megan, do roll call.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Kucera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Seidel?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. And we have Audrey on. Audrey, thank you for being here. And Sophie, thank you. Have a great week, you guys. Everyone have a good week.